Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world, for Celtic fans all over the world. Just look at those 4 countries that our contributors are from today. From Lennoxtown to Los Angeles, Paisley to Phnom Penh. Wherever you happen to be watching from, you're very much part of A Celtic World. So let's say hello to our ensemble of Globetrotters. Let's start, as we always do, with Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Your appearances
Hey,
are
Gav,
coming
how you
thick and
doing?
fast.
Say that again, sorry.
Your appearances are becoming thick and fast in this.
Yeah, I'm back on the. I'm back up with fully fitness again. So yeah, nothing stopping us now. So hi guys, hi Michael, hi David, and hello everyone in the comments. Nice to be back. Good to see the start of the season just arriving round the corner. We get back to the serious stuff.
Back to the serious stuff. Sounds like you have a little sniffle there. Hope you heard
I have, yeah. It's cold. It's cold in Sydney at the moment. Cold and wet.
Is it cold and wet in Afghanistan, David?
Sadly not. No, 30 odd degrees. Hi folks, great to be involved again. I see. Welcome back, Monty. Good to see people in the chat. I think this is a point where somebody says like and subscribe. So looking forward to the show, lads. Cheers.
And joining us for the first time in a brave while is Mickey, our very own publican from Roma. How's it going?
Good morning, chaps. Good morning, everybody in the comments. It's nice to be back. It's been, as you say, Gav, it's been a while. Probably could be 6 months since I've been on here, I'd say. So, and the weather here is lovely. It's about 32 degrees, sunny, so it's not too hot as it was a few weeks ago, but so far so good. And as Stephen was saying, we're looking forward to getting back to proper football again.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. Malaysia, Australia, Afghanistan and Italy. Who says it isn't a Celtic world, eh? Totally is. So if that tickles your fancy, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. We're getting quite close to the auspicious number of 1888 subscribers. Only like 15 or something short of that. So that'd be good. Imagine you were 1888 on a Celtic.
You have to give a prize out, Gavin.
Can I actually tell who it is? I don't know if I can tell who it is.
I don't know how that works.
Either try.
You're not getting a prize anyway, let's be honest. No prizes.
Well done.
Okay.
I'm really shat himself there at the very thought.
We don't have a budget for anything at all, let alone prizes. Well, where are we going to start? Well, I don't have a menu made up for today, but why don't we start with the cover photo. Yeah, this is sort of what we're talking about, flagging or flying. Obviously, it's Flag Day coming up, and how are Celtic going to start the season? That's the big question. As you see Brendan staring up longingly at the cold, dead eyes of Nicholson. So we're going to cover all the topics associated with that picture in the chat. But I think we're going to start with what somebody mentions here. Craig McLean. Wasn't so lovely last week in Como. I've never seen rain like it. You were obviously there.
I was.
So tell us all about it, Mickey.
Well, basically, I got the train from Rome with my son Killian. We left here about 9:30 in the morning. It was 36 degrees. We got to Como about 4 hours later, and it was like 19 degrees. And incredibly wet and incredibly windy. And it was actually lovely because it's been so hot here for so long. It was just like, it was terrific getting to Como, but I felt sorry for everyone from Glasgow coming over because it was like worse weather than Scotland the whole time they were there.
Did you bump into Craig McLean?
I don't even think I know who Craig McLean is. Maybe I did bump into him, I didn't know. Because there wasn't that many. Probably, I'd say there's about 500 Celtic fans maybe there.
Right.
Thereabouts. And a bit more Ajax fans, maybe 600 Ajax fans. But it was easier for them to get there because they could all drive down from Amsterdam. It's a 10-hour drive, but at least it's doable, if you know what I mean. But
And I
Yeah,
don't know if
weather
you
was
saw,
shocking.
I don't know if you saw last week's show, but Stephen has become something of a celebrity back in Scotland. You know, he gets stopped when he's out shopping with his family. People are like, "Oh my God, you're the Stephen from A Celtic World."
I saw that on the
And,
group chat actually.
well,
It's like,
I have a picture here that suggests that somebody did stop you and say, "Are you Mickey from The Celtic World?" Is that what's happening here?
that's exactly what happened. I was just walking through the centre of Como just before the rain started. Tommy walks up to me and he's like, Mickey, can I get a photo? I was like, oh, all right. So, gave away some of my time.
Did you get a chat with Tom Boyd?
I had a brief chat with him. I just told him that I remember meeting him years and years ago, just after we stopped 10 in a row. I met him after that game. Spoke to him briefly about that. And he said we were a lot younger then, obviously. I was asking him what he was doing. I thought he was working for Celtic TV, but he said he's in an ambassadorial role with Celtic now. So he just kind of goes around and walks around and talks to fans and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if he still works for Celtic TV at all, but I haven't heard him on Celtic TV for a while now.
There you go. There's the ominous clouds behind your son, Killian.
That's it. There's Killian just waiting for the rain to start. We had a little wander around Como early afternoon, walk around the lake, walked out to the stadium. It was great because we stay in the centre and the stadium is like just over like a 10-minute walk tops where you stay. It's all very small, very close. So we had a little wander around just before the mad rain started to fall. Oh, and there it is. It's just before I think that's Callum McGregor behind him there, just about to turn, is it? In Como. The rain had stopped by that stage. In fact, about an hour before kickoff, there was rumours going around that the match was going to be called off, which was a bit worrying for a while, but then just cleared up basically half an hour before kickoff. And luckily enough.
Thanks to McLaughlin P there. Look at that. That's a timely comment for people who need their windows washed. All right, cool. There you are at the station.
The station, that's the day after, actually. There's a match. Yeah, the only thing that disappointed me actually was the home support. Even for their own games, there was very few people other than the Celtic fans and Ajax fans who were up beside each other behind that goal. I thought there was quite a low turnout from the locals, if you like. With two, superpowers of European football, Ajax and Celtic getting together, you'd think you get a few more people, but I'd say they'd be lucky if there was 100 local fans turned up for the whole thing.
Now, that was the game you were at then? You were at the Ajax
game? I was at the Ajax game, yeah.
Which was a bit of a humbling.
It started off all right. It was going okay for a while, but then I think we kind of fell apart terribly in the second half there, but hit the bar a couple of times in the first half. It was looking okay, but sure it was a friendly, so.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the goals or anything. Stephen, were you across that game? Were you, David? Did you watch highlights from it?
I saw the goals, but that was it. I only saw the goals. I'm not big on pre-season friendlies. Generally they're on at terrible kick-off times here, so not for me. But it was interesting that I noticed a few things on Twitter, Mickey, that some of the Italian Celtic fans had boycotted the game. Is that right?
I don't think so. I know that Celtic fans were boycotting the Newcastle game because the season ticket wasn't included in it. No, there was loads of Italian Celtic fans there, actually. It was quite surprising. There's a big Celtic supporters club nearby in Lecco, and they all came down and had their flags. But no, they didn't boycott it at all. Oh, I think that sounds like a rumour to me.
And was there any... I see there was a bit of bother with the Ajax fans as well. Did you see what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, it was all right beside us. I mean, there was no bother as such. We were waving our Palestine flags, which they take a bit of the hump with. So some of them ran over to the glass and threw a few plastic beers over the fence. But that was it. I mean, there was no fighting as such because you couldn't get together with the supporters because there was a divide right down the middle. So.
And then another highlight for you, Mickey, recently was this event. Tell us about this.
Oh, that was the highlight of my year so far. I got to meet the very famous Paul Massey, who came into the pub last Saturday. He came in to watch the Lions rugby against Australia. And it's funny, actually. It's strange that I never really thought about that he's been on this channel from the start, pretty much. And that was the first time he's ever met someone in real life who's from the channel. I don't think people realise that we all don't really know each other at all.
I know, it's hilarious. David, who have you met who's been on the channel? Anyone?
Kaiser.
Kaiser, you've met Kaiser. I've met Kaiser. I've met Jerry, who used to be on in Singapore.
Yeah, I've met Jerry too.
Yeah. And obviously Mickey and I, we've met since we've been doing the pod, but we know each other from school. So
Yeah, we met about 6 months ago over here in Rome.
yeah.
Rome seems to be the Celtic world get together, because your daughter was over here as well, wasn't she? At one point, is that right, Stephen?
Oh yeah. My daughter was travelling last year and spent a bit of time in Rome. And I directed her to come up and say hello, but you weren't there.
I wasn't there. That's right. Yeah.
All
Yeah, I
right,
think
well,
people just presume we know each other. I even thought like the Australian connection people would all know each other somehow or other, but I was quite surprised that Paul had never met anyone at all beforehand.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're all over the joint, aren't we? So it's only when we can go out of our way to sort of meet each other. Like I'm going to be in Bangkok at the end of August, so I'll get to go to the Glasgow Derby at the world famous Bangkok CSC. David's agreed to look after me and tells me I don't need to put my hand in my pocket the whole time I'm there. Did you say that, David, or am I inventing?
I think he just assumed
someone
that.
else.
Gav.
Yeah,
I think that was just an assumption.
definitely.
Yeah. And then there's a possibility that I'll be in Japan, in Tokyo, for the next Glasgow Derby, just early January. So that'll be good. I might bump into, all the famous people from there, including one that we've had on the show. But anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Let's talk about the transfer window and all the fun we've been having, and how exciting it is. It's been absolutely amazing. Stephen was very grumpy last week. I'm sure he's pepped right up. Speaking of Pep has loaned us this guy, by the looks of it, to my Simpson Pusey. No sniggering at the back. I'm sure David's got a joke or two up his wizard sleeve.
I'm just giddy with excitement about the musical offering that's going to come to pay tribute to him, Gav.
Yeah, well, he's only here for a year. I'd need to get on with it. Do we want to share our thoughts on him? I know it's indicative of how shit everything is, that, this is all the only crumb of comfort we've got. But, good player coming in to play for us.
I'm in isolation. I'm actually okay with this signing. Obviously, it's not great that it's a loan with no option to buy, and you're right. It is. It does sort of point to how crap our transfer window is and how little idea we've got what we're doing. But I think he's obviously a good player. He's obviously quite highly rated, and I don't know. Unlike a lot of Celtic fans, I'm not quite ready yet to put a line through Austin Trusty. But if he has another season similar to last season, I think we will be putting a line through him this time next year. So I think having a guy like that in to cover for a year is okay. And we might, you never know. You might be able to extend that for a second year. That's what happened with Jason Denayer. And he was here for 2 years. And let's face it, most of the players we sign are only here for 2 years maximum anyway. So
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Nothing lost. So in isolation, I think it's not a bad bit of business.
Yeah, and there is a way of looking at our backline in a positive light, as you say. If Trusty does, get his act together a bit, not be as weak as piss, Michael. And we've got this guy, and Inamura's possibly going to feature, and we've got the big Irish fella to fill in as and when needed.
Yeah, I think the backline.
It's not the area of the field that requires the most surgery. That's for
It's our best. It's our best part of the field. I would by far. I would say, but and with this new guy Pusey coming in, it's also extra cover that. And now and again last season, the central pairing we didn't have enough decent cover for it. So I think we're well equipped in that area, and I think, as Stephen was saying, it's a great signing to get a player like that for a season long loan. And there's no option to buy, but I know other loans we had in the past have come to sign for us in the end without an option to buy because they like it up here and they can see they're in the shop window or whatever. So I doubt he will stay on after a year, but I think it's a good signing. It's and I like Inamura, you were mentioning him before. I think he's been playing really well. Maybe we could use Kieran Tierney as a winger because we're short on wingers at this stage. You never know.
David, I better come to you because people are asking if you're on mute. And when I saw you tonight, I said you looked like a pilot. Somebody else says you look like you're about to start commentating on Grandstand.
Desmond Lynham.
This is my Celtic tie here. So at least with my Afghan and UN flag behind me. So I guess that's why you had me on mute, because I'm on a secret assignment, as one of the people said in the chat. Listen, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me speak. But I think for me, it's a bit of a lack of planning. I think Inamura, probably we've been a bit lucky. When Rodgers first spoke, I think the idea was that he was just here for a loan, to get loaned out immediately. And I think he was pleasantly surprised with his first pre-season game. And now he's kind of part of the furniture. So that saved us money and having to buy a proper replacement or backup for KT. I think this guy, Simpson Posey, is another one, obviously short term. I think, by all accounts, he's very highly rated and he's going to be a step up in what we've got. So very short termism. I don't have a problem with short termism if the money that we were planning to splash out on him gets used for a top striker, a couple of top wingers. But we've got £110 million in the bank, so I don't really understand it. I think he's two-footed. I don't know whether it's predominantly right or left side that it is. But I would expect that with Carter Vickers' injury record, probably he's going to get quite a few games. And I think Trusty, his pre-season has been very good. So I'm quite positive about the signing. I just think some of it's a bit more luck rather than real planning. We're still about 3 or 4 positions away from strengthening the first team that we really need.
Yeah.
I'll go back to mute.
Do we need this guy? Do we need this position strengthened? This guy's like another midfielder. It seems odd.
He's a defensive midfielder though. So and we do is the answer. But we don't have a backup at all for Callum McGregor, who's another year older. And to be honest, we probably didn't have the best season last year, especially in European games. So if we're going to equip ourselves for Europe, we do need a defensive midfielder. But I don't think there's any legs in that room, and I think that one got shot down pretty quickly. So it's probably not going to be him. But yeah, I'd be quite happy if he signed someone who's a bit more of a defensive midfielder than Callum McGregor is, because I don't think that's his natural position. And he's okay domestically, but I think when you step up into the Champions League or European football, I think he sometimes gets caught out a bit. So I would like to see him signing another midfielder. But as David says, the massive priority at the moment is the wingers. And we've left ourselves in just a shambolic situation there.
Can you believe that what they're saying about Tilio? And we can't let Tilio go.
No, it's unbelievable. It's high fast, really. It's really poor. Not just for us, but for him as well. He's got a career to think about. It's obviously not going to work out for him at Celtic, so he needs to move on and try and make a career somewhere else. And we're just holding him there because we can't sign a winger. I mean, that's just no fair. And as has been pointed out ad nauseum on Twitter today, we weren't slow in letting Kuhn disappear out the door when we didn't have a winger to replace him. So it's obviously that's okay when there's a big ton of money coming in, but because we're not going to get much money for Tilio now, we'll just hold on to him. But how on earth can we expect Tilio to be fully focused on playing for Celtic when he knows the only reason he's there is because we are so shit in the transfer market and just can't close deals? So it's a farcical situation all round. And the same thing goes for Yang. He now knows that he's out the door as soon as we sign a replacement. So, one of those guys is going to have to play a part in the game on Saturday or Sunday, sorry. And I shudder to think what type of performance they're going to turn in.
Well, you're turning in a good performance, and people are learning all sorts of things from you, Stephen, including a little bit of Latin. There's Batman is Googling ad nauseum. Very good. Yeah. You also bumped into Tilio's dad, didn't you, once upon a time?
Yeah, I see him all the time, actually. He works. I work in a university, and he's actually a roofing contractor in the university I work in. So he doesn't really talk much about his son, but his mates do, and they get it all out of him and tell me. So yeah, he's definitely out the door, and it's not going to work. I just don't think Brendan-Rodgers likes him, and to be honest with you, I don't think he's the required standard either. I think he's a guy that just struggled to make the step up from the A-League here in Australia, and very, very few players do who play their junior football or they come through the system here in Australia. They find it too hard to make the step up to European football. And any successful Australian players you do have generally make their way to European academies when they're quite young. So I'm not surprised he hasn't made the step up. It's a very, very common story with Australian players. But the fact that he's quite possibly going to be on the bench on Sunday is just high for us, to be honest with you. You couldn't make it up when he's never going to be part of the future.
I need to turn my mic up a little bit. Speaking very softly. Okay. All right, Mickey. In that case, let's go to you for the discussion on this man.
I didn't even read there was an Udinese link. I didn't hear of anything of that over here. But well, what have we got? We've got 4 strikers. Adamida's had a pretty poor pre-season, to be fair. His touch has been off. A lot of it's been off. But well, he has to start on Sunday, really, doesn't he? I can't imagine Yamada's going to start. We haven't replaced Kyogo. That's old hat. So there's no point in letting Adamida go anywhere. That's for sure. He's probably the best we have at the moment. Unless, of course, you do the Dyson Maida up front, but then we've got no more wingers, so you get that balance off again. 25, 30 goals he could do. He's a big confidence player. If he starts off well, he could go on to score a lot of goals. But the jury's still out, unfortunately, on Adamida, even after the whole of last season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Adamida detractors out there, but it would be a brave one to sanction a sale, David, of him at this stage of the game. Would that be?
Well, I mean, I think we'll get track record of it. I think we sold Kyogo when we didn't have a replacement. For me, he does possibly behind Kenny just now, which is a very, very sad indictment on where we are. I think the young guy we got from from the Championship or wherever, I think he's going to be get loaned out as well. So probably we have to keep Ida, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if someone offers us 6 or 7 million, I would probably take it, because obviously we're struggling for cash just now.
That's what we need. We need 116 million pounds in the bank instead of 110.
Definitely.
It would be madness to sell him, surely, Stephen. Absolute madness.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sell him. I mean, I disagree, David. I don't think Johnny Kenny's in front of anyone at Celtic. Johnny Kenny's, for me, is just another one in the Tilio mould. It's just not good enough to play for Celtic. And another one who was only kept on, who was recalled from his loan at Shamrock Rovers at Christmas time because we didn't replace Kyogo, and he was just brought back to sit on the bench. He's another one that should have been allowed to go back to the League of Ireland because he was doing really well there, scoring a lot of goals and again forging a decent career for himself. So that's where he should go. That's where he should end up. There was a bit of talk that maybe Bolton Wanderers were interested in taking him, and another one we probably shouldn't be standing in the way of, but someone we can't let go because we just lack numbers in the striking position. We don't really know what you're going to get from Yamada. Nobody knows, and that goes for Inamura as well. It's all very well showing up okay in a friendly match, but when it comes to playing in the SPFL against some big jobber 6'5" centre forward who's just going to go right through you, then it might be a different state of affairs completely. And if I remember, we said all the same things as we're saying about Inamura, about Yuki Kobayashi, another player who was comfortable in the ball but just no physicality at all, and for that reason didn't make it and ended up getting shuffled out the door. So I wouldn't really say, I wouldn't really put too much stock in Inamura or Yamada making a big impact this season. And Johnny Kenny's probably another one. Don't know anything at all about Osman. So because of that, we really have to start with Ida up front. I think he's your number one striker at the moment, although that is a sad state of affairs. And, you know, everyone's saying about now he's never a 9 million player. And that's true. He's not a 9 million player, but the reason we paid 9 million for him is just, again, boardroom incompetence. Because when we signed him in the January transfer window, it was a panic signing at the end of that window because we couldn't get our targets, if you believe it was Fitzgarden or whoever. But we didn't have time to negotiate an option to buy into that loan. If we had an option to buy in that loan, it would probably be around about the 3-4 million mark. Now, if you'd paid 3-4 million for Adam Ida, you'd be reasonably happy, wouldn't you, with what you've had, 20-goal season, win on a cup final, etc. But because we asked around in the transfer window right to the final week, trying to call Norwich's bluff to give us him for cheaper, and they knew we wanted him. They knew, as every other club in Europe does, we have tons of cash in the bank. You know, why are they going to sell it to us for cheaper? So that's the reason why we ended up paying for 9 million for Adam Ida, and the same reason we paid 11 million for Arnie Engels. So the transfer fees shouldn't be held against him because that was down to our incompetence. But at the moment, he should be the backup striker. He should be a guy coming off the bench. But at the moment, I can only see him starting on Sunday.
And now the board incompetence is the opposite of that, or a reaction to that, it seems. It's like, we're not going to be taken for a ride again. We're only going to bid this amount. And, you know, just because other clubs know we've got money, you know, we're offering 3 when they want 7 or whatever the hell it is. So, you know, we've gone too far the other way. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, Mickey.
You are damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I think Celtic's backup striker should be costing us £9 million, and our proper striker should be costing £15 million. I think that's probably the way we should be looking for it. And I think Adamida, he paid his transfer fee before he even signed his transfer because he helped us win the league to get into the Champions League. He won us the Scottish Cup when he was on loan. So all that money was paid for even before he showed up, as far as I was concerned. I thought he'd done his job before he signed.
Is that the Polizei I can hear in the background?
Yes, that's the Polizia coming past.
That's Polizei.
Or an Ambulanza, maybe. I think it's an Ambulanza.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of chat on social media, obviously, about the window. Got a few little posts here. Here's one from Everything Celtic. For every £1 million spent this summer, Celtic have made around 8.8. That's quite the stat, isn't it? Goodness me. Here's G. saying, we're at the stage of this window, troops, everyone having murder with each other over lack of signings, hating the board, happy clappers, bedwetters, Huns in disguise. You can see where I got the inspiration for the description of this video. You should have been in and around in the 90s. Don't know how lucky you young ones have it. Celtic Twitter, laughing face emoji.
Yes, that's true.
Ronnie Dyla, do I trust the Celtic board? No. Do I trust Brendan has our interests further afield in 12 months? No. Will I back the team? Yes. But for the love of God, can we please act like an elite club in the transfer market once? I would agree with all of those sentiments in that last post. Would anyone not?
Well, in the 90s, we signed Stuart Slater for £1.2 million. I mean, that's like signing somebody awful for about £20 million nowadays. It was like awful transfers at that time.
It's interesting that they mentioned the 90s, though, because if you go back to the 90s, we were paying the same sort of transfer fees that we're trying to pay just now, like 30 odd years later. So I was there in the 90s, and I think that's just utter nonsense. It was an entirely different era, entirely different football landscape. We're here now sitting on top of a mountain of cash, and there really isn't any conceivable reason why we haven't already signed our top targets for this season. I know what I think, but there's no real reason why a club the size of Celtic shouldn't have go in there early, and it all comes down to getting your deals done in a timely manner. Because as ever, if you let these things run on and on and on, you're always running a risk that A, you're going to end up in panic mode in the last week of the window, and B, that you might go to somewhere else. The club might sell it to another team, and you miss out completely. So there's an absolute disaster class going on inside Celtic Park at the moment, and I've got no idea what it is. I've got no idea what the strategy is. I've got no idea what the plan is, if there even is one. And who knows what's round the corner.
Yeah, it could get even worse. We could end up losing. Like Hatati might disappear the day before the window closes. I could see something like that.
You wouldn't rule it out, would you? You wouldn't rule it out if the nightmare scenario unfolds and we go out of the Champions League in the qualifiers. Then I wouldn't put it past them to sell either Hatati or Maeda to plug the financial gap that from not qualifying for the Champions League and use that for an excuse. I just can't see what they're trying to do. I think the worst thing that BrendanRodgers ever did was guarantee that he's going to be here for 3 years, because they know that he's not going to leave. They know he's not going to walk out the door this summer. The earliest he's going to leave is next year. So they know they're under no pressure to spend a lot of money. They're under no pressure to deliver. Now, any self-respecting board would want the club to get better, would want the club to improve in the transfer, in whatever competition we're playing in. But I think this board are just completely obsessed with stability and staying the same. I think all they want to do is stay the same. And the only time we ever react is when things are in danger of collapsing, like after the COVID season. We're obsessed. I seen a really good quote on Twitter the other day there, that the current Celtic board have mistaken stability for strategy. And all we're doing is treading water, is just try to stay where we are, where the rest of us would like to see us taking the next step forward. Maybe this time going and beating Bayern Munich next year in the Champions League and going one step forward. So that's what we want, but I just don't think those sentiments are shared in the boardroom. And 100% BrendanRodgers is off at the end of the season. And how that feeds into how we perform this season is anyone's guess. I don't really like it. I'm not looking forward to it, and I think it's got the potential to go completely south on us if we don't control the narrative. Because whether BrendanRodgers is staying or going, we have to keep moving forward as a club. We have to try and improve our performances in Europe and rebuild our coefficient. So we should still be signing players.
You're not looking forward to it. You're not looking forward to that whole scenario playing out, or you're not looking forward to the season?
Well, I have to say I've been more excited for a new season before. I'm looking forward to the games being back on again, albeit The first one on Sundays at another ridiculous kickoff time for the Southern Hemisphere boys. But I'm not really looking forward to how the season's going to play out. I'm really worried about the Champions League qualifier. I think there's some real jeopardy there for us. There's a few, the clubs that we could be drawn against, they're not world beaters, but they are exactly the type of club that's beaten us in the past. When we've had similarly disastrous transfer windows. So I can see that playing out. I'm not confident that we're going to beat any of those teams. And if that happens, you can see the season imploding quite quickly. I'm not bumming up Rangers or anything, but I think they've gone and spent some money. They've gone and identified where they need to buy, and they've gone and got the players in. And I think anybody who says, I've heard it said a lot. I've listened to a few podcasts today, and many people are saying, but we'll be all right domestically. No, we won't. We won't be all right domestically if we start games with Yang on the right and Tilio as his backup off the bench. That's not going to do. That's not going to do against any team. Even against, we struggled to beat St Mirren at the tail end of last season. We needed a James Forrest 90th minute equaliser to even get a draw for him. So no game's a gimme, and unless we improve the wing positions and that's a bare minimum. Unless we improve the quality in the wide areas between now and the start of the season, I think we're in real trouble.
Got a good defence.
Oh God!
But we win all the games 1-0.
In the build up to Monday, I knew Stephen's coming on, and I knew I was going to hear Stephen's diatribe. And I don't think it's without merit, of course. I mean, I hear every word you say, and I know it's coming from a place of, solid thought. But I've been telling myself that the glass is half full, and I'm confident that we're going to get through this European qualifier. And, I'm thinking if the likes of, Trusty, Ida, and what's his name? Belgian boy. His name escapes me. Engels, if this is then their breakthrough season, or a lot's expected of all those players, and these new ones coming in, and Nygren being the Matt O'Reilly replacement, I've sort of been building up my confidence level until this chat.
If you want
punctured, it's fair to say.
If you want some positivity, here it is.
Go on, please.
We're not that far away, right? If we go out and sign even one winger, I would accept a second winger on loan. If Jota's going to be back the back end of the season, so one winger signed, one winger on loan, a centre forward, and a midfielder's probably a bonus. So we're only basically 3 players. I mean, a lot of people talking about signing 5 or 6 players between now and the end of the window. Not happening, not a chance. But if we get 3 players in, and one of them's a very good winger, a right-hand sided winger, and we sign a centre forward, I think we'll be okay in both domestically and in the Champions League. So there's your positivity.
Yes, thank goodness for that. That's what I was going to ask everyone. Like, what more do we need from this window for it to get a pass from you? David, what do you need? What's the minimum you need to be happy enough for this window?
I would say I'm a wee bit more positive than Stephen on this one. I do think our first 11 is good enough for this weekend, or for most of our games domestically. But the drop off to the reserves, the subs bench, is dramatic. I don't expect to see Tilio. I think for me, Rodgers was talking about keeping Tilio just as a statement to the board. I'd be astonished even if he was on the bench on Sunday. I could probably see Nygren starting on the right. I would prefer to bench Engels and have Nygren, Hatate, and McGregor as the 3 in the middle. But I think if with our first 11, I think we're okay for this weekend. But CCV is coming back from injury. Johnston's only sort of played once or twice. So I think the worry is that if we don't get good replacements, then things could I think if it's nothing each at half time, I think the fans might get on the players' backs, because I don't think the transfer window has been by any stretch of imagination good enough. I do think it's been a lot of luck, definitely no planning involved.
Michael, you're quite a cheery chap, I would say, of a positive disposition. You looking forward to the season, and why?
I am looking forward to the season, and I hope this season that we do better against the Huns, because we were fucking dreadful against the Huns last season in most of the games. But I would take a few better games against them this year. I think we'll probably beat St Mirren fairly comfortably, although we'd struggled, as Stephen was saying, at the end of the season. But I think that season just petered out completely. This team just got worse and worse and worse and worse. Once the league was in the bag early on, and Coon lost interest and all that kind of stuff. So I think we'll give St Mirren a good hiding. Hopefully the Huns will get a hiding the day beforehand, which would be nice after they've had their trip to Athens yesterday. Can't believe they still keep winning in Europe. Because Panathinaikos are a good football team. Can't believe they got through against them. Wouldn't that be terrible if the Huns get into the Champions League and we don't after winning the league?
That's a nightmare scenario again, because they will spend every single penny that they can. So, this is how things can flip really quickly. When Ange came into Celtic, we were in all sorts of trouble and nobody could see us. In Ange's first season, we were hoping they were just going to stabilise a bit and maybe win a cup, and we went and won the league. And dominated again the following season. So things can change really quickly in Scottish football. It's not a given that we're going to win the league. My concern comes from the fact that the way Rodgers played, the way Ange played as well, the way Celtic have played for the last decade depends really a lot on wide players and the quality of your wide players. And any time we've struggled in the wide areas, we've not played well. And I just don't see where that's coming from this time. I mean, who's getting by their man? Who's going to hit the byline? Who's going to come inside and have a shot the way Kuhn did quite effectively in parts of last season? We've got Maeda on the other side, but who comes on for him when he needs a rest? That's going to be a massive drop off.
Maeda never needs a rest.
Generally, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but generally, though, Roger, he might have to go and play centre forward for periods. So someone will have to come on. So generally, we use 4 wingers in every game, and we just don't have 4 wingers at the moment. So unless Rodgers has got something up his sleeve for some different system we're going to play, then we are going to struggle in certain games, especially as you mentioned there. If it's still nothing each at half time, or after 50, 60 minutes, then, we're going to struggle in that scenario because we just don't have the quality in the wide areas.
But I think also one of the problems we've got is that a lot of people are focusing on Huns. Sevco have bought players and blah, blah, blah. And I think the problem is that that's the board's mentality as well. The board are only interested in us staying 5 or 10 points ahead of the Huns winning the league. We've got a massive opportunity. All the cash we've got in the bank, as Stephen and Mickey have said, we're probably 3 players away from a really strong team that could do well in Europe. And if we do well in Europe, domestically takes care of itself. So let's not bother about trying to stay 5 points clear of the Huns. Let's build on, how close we were to beating Bayern Munich last season. If we had a replacement for Kyogo in January, if we'd got KT instead of Taylor at left back, we would have had a really good chance of progressing even against Bayern Munich. So, I think this is what we need to be looking at. Don't be looking at, what the Huns are buying and who the Huns are buying and they might be a wee bit better, blah, blah, blah. This is about us having the opportunity, with all the cash in the bank, get 2 proper wingers, get a proper centre forward, maybe another proper number 6, like a Wanyama type guy, and push on. And let's batter the Huns into submission.
Stirring words, but I don't know who needs to hear them. David, or I do know who needs to hear them. And it doesn't seem to
that's
have
just not. I mean, that all that's 100% correct. But as you say, that it's the Celtic board don't share that opinion. That's not what they see. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what their strategy is. I don't see it. But it's certainly not to make the football team better year on year. That's certainly not their strategy. Because, or if it is their strategy, they're making an enormous arse of it. So I don't know. I don't know. It's really, really disappointing that we're here season after season after season with the same old gripes. It'd be brilliant if we just in one season got our main targets in early on, get them in doing pre-season with the club, get them over to Como with the team, rather than playing guys there that we know are not going to play a part this season, and see where that takes us. So it's just incredibly disappointing, and I think I'd love to sit in a room with Michael Nicholson and say, what are we doing? What is it? What is the end game here? What are we trying to achieve? What's our KPIs for this year? What is our 5-year plan? Where do you see the club, the team in 5 years? How do we make ourselves better? And just see what he's got to say. And at the moment, they've got nothing to say, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't even know what Michael Nicholson sounds like. I don't think I've ever heard him speaking. Maybe a couple of minutes at an AGM. We just never hear from him. And there's an information vacuum coming out of the club. Everybody just assumes we're not doing anything to sign players, and that's where the issues come from. And I think I'm a bit worried about this weekend. I think there might be a bit of a toxic atmosphere in the stadium, similar to when Wim Jansen left the club and wee Fergus got booed, raising the championship flag the following season. There's something like that might happen again this year. I hope none of the board are going to attempt to go onto the pitch when they unfurl the league flag. I hope they get, I don't know, maybe somebody related to John Clark or something, a nice touch like that. But none of those guys, Nicholson, Lowell, any of them, should be anywhere near the ceremony to unfurl the flag. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure the fans will let them know.
Well, okay. So I suppose that brings us on to previewing the game then. Do any of us have any thoughts about what to expect, our starting lineup? I see a lot of comments and I flagged them up there about whether Engels might be not starting and Negron does start. What do you think? Are we going to have a midfield three, first of all? And if so, who are they going to be for the first game of the season? Mickey?
Yes, I think it will be a midfield three. I think it'll be same formation as most of last season. And the three players are going to be Hatate, McGregor, and I'd say Engels will start. I'd say.
Yeah, I suspect you're right.
Yang will probably start on the right. I can't see Forrest starting, although Forrest, I'd say he could. I would start Forrest on the right, get the first 60 minutes out of him, and get things sorted. If you know what I mean? I think he'd be good to start with. So I'll tell you my team then. Though my team is the three mid that I mentioned: Forrest on the right, Maida on the left, Ida up front, and a back four of Alistair Johnson. It seems he should be fit enough to start. You can certainly get 60 minutes out of him. Carter Vickers, Trusty, and KT. And obviously Schmeichel and goal. I think that team would get the job done within the hour mark. And then you can take some players off, rest them or whatever at that point.
Yeah, I mean, as you said earlier, Stephen, we're not that far short in terms of what we need to do this window. I mean, we're a few players short. That's if we could just get those. We're also not far short of the whole sort of narrative changing for the better. You know, if we get off to a flyer this season, if we get past this European qualifier without too much bother, then we can all start enjoying ourselves. That's what I'm sort of assuming is going to happen. David, is that a fool's approach? You're mute. You're mute.
Good effort. Been on mute for a while. No, I think it is realistic. We should be confident. we should be way too strong for for St Mirren. I think there's probably a few players. I probably agree with Mickey that Engels will start. Probably Ida will start. I'm hoping Trusty will start ahead of Scales. But one person that's not been mentioned is Negrin, and I would personally prefer to rest Engels, have him on the bench to start, and have Negrin, Hatate, and McGregor as the midfield three. I think he was.
Diplomatic immunity.
I think he was brought in, to be a potentially on the right side as well. So maybe he could start on the right on Sunday. I do think Negrin will. I would hope he would start. Also, I would like us to start with the Japanese boy up front. So we can get all the Shin fine comments out of the way. But I think I know it was only half an hour sort of cameo role, but he looks fast, and I think he can maybe offer us something, because if we don't have the wingers, then there's no point of hoof. Then what service will Lida get if we don't have decent wingers? I think one of the things last season was when we were playing Ida up front, and the wingers were not giving him any service at all. So Ida get the pelters, but that he wasn't getting any service. So either we've got wingers and we play Ida, or we're struggling. So maybe put Negrin on the right hand side, and put Shin as our centre forward.
Yeah, that's what somebody was suggesting there in the comments. Do you see that happening, Stephen?
No, I don't see Yamada playing a part at all on Saturday. I mean, he's only really played half a friendly for us, so I can't see that at all. I think looking at what he did, I think he's got a decent. It looks as if he's got some upside, but his goal scoring record this season has been atrocious. So I don't think that would be the right thing to do at all. I do agree. I would like to see Negrin playing on the right hand side. Not because I think he's definitely an attacking midfielder, but I just don't want to see Yang in a Celtic jersey ever again, if I'm being honest. And I would like to see Negrin play the right hand side with Forrest coming on the hour mark or just after. I think I would much rather see Negrin playing in an attacking midfield role to see what he's got there. But I think our deficiencies in the wide areas are going to force our hand here. So I think he'll start on the right with Maida on the left, and I think it's got to be Adam Ida up front with the midfield three, as Mickey predicted there, Hatate, McGregor and Engels in the same back four. The only other question is, do you play Schmeichel or Sinisalo in goals? A lot of people reckon Sinisalo should have played the cup final, and Schmeichel made a fairly disastrous error to let them back into the game. So that's a question. Obviously, this is the season where you're looking to transition Sinisalo into the number one position. So maybe they would want to do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, I miss score predictions. We haven't done one of those in ages. I miss Jerry, the aforementioned Jerry, be here saying, lads, what are you talking about? St Mirren 7-0. Strange Love the Doctor is in here saying it's St Mirren, so we need to match that physicality to begin with. And depending on the game, we can introduce Shin to take the flowers. I think we'll win 5-0, he says. Do we want to throw around some score predictions? I think we're going to win handsomely. And people will say, that's just papering over the cracks. All right, good. Those cracks need papering over, as far as I'm concerned. The general mood of the fan base might get a lift. Score predictions, Mickey?
I think it'll be the same as our last home game, which was against Newcastle. It'll be 4-0, I'd say.
4-0, and everything's right with the world.
Exactly.
Hooray. David, we'll come to Stephen last, just so keep the bonhomie going. David?
I think 4-1.
Okay. Why do you think we'll concede?
Yeah, I think first game of the season. I just think that we might not be, firing on all cylinders. But yeah, I think for usually I go for 6-0, but I'll be happy with 4-1.
There's quite a few something ones coming in here, as if people think we'll do enough to win, but there are still dark clouds on the horizon. And so let's go over to our very own dark cloud to see what everybody has to say about that.
Very nice of you, Gav. Thank you. Yeah, I think we'll win, but I think it'll be close. I reckon it'll be John Coyle there said 2-1. I reckon it'll be 2-1 to Celtic. I think we'll get two. I think we'll go 2 goals up, and then we'll contrive to concede at some point in the second half, and end up hanging on a bit. But I think we'll get the win. But I don't think it's going to be plain sailing.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, let's move it on a little bit. Something else I wanted to talk about here. Oh yes, I saw this on social media. This is the Ultras from Genoa showing their support for Celtic fans. And it seems for a Celtic world. Did any of you see this? It's exciting. It seems Genoa fans are big fans of our show. Look at that. There's a couple of posters there. One respect for Celtic fans, in particular, I named one beneath that. See that? Oh dear. The times we have, eh? Nice to see your name in lights. Did you get that, Michael? Did you put your glasses on and lean in?
I did. The Gav was written nice and big.
See what that was. They love Gav. Yes, indeed. Look at this protection here. There you go. That would put the
I mean, it's interesting. Just go back to that picture again. It's interesting, isn't it, how the whole Palestine thing has really put Celtic on the map, hasn't it? And it's gained. I mean, I'd love to know if anybody could quantify how many, social media interactions the club has gained through, Palestinian things and through the fans' action on Palestine. Because we've really, let's face it, the Green Brigade really have stood up and seized that issue and ran with it, and a lot of clubs around the world are following now in our footsteps, and it is sort of gaining momentum. So it'd be interesting to see exactly how that's translated into social media followers.
Yeah. Square sausage Mick raising this flag, of course. How long will it take the board to ban the Green Brigade? Again, that's all part of the communication issue, the void, the vacuum, as you say. It is unbelievable. Yeah, and then I don't know if you saw this, but let me see, how can I tie this in? Oh, apparently the Green Brigade have come up with a new idea for expressing their discontent towards the board. They were going to bring along like an inflatable man to show the board what they think of them. Do you want to see that in action?
Go for it, Gary.
Yes, please.
I'd love to see it.
There it is. That's what they think of the board. Is that going to attract people into the shop? Depends what kind of shop, I suppose.
You never know what kind of shop you're looking for.
Bella.
David, would you go into a shop with that outside the window? You probably have a few in Bangkok.
Yeah, I think you can get whatever you want in Bangkok, but I wasn't sure, did that say Anos or Anos? Either way, I think probably.
Well, thankfully there is an
you can get what you
enye.
like there, basically.
There's an enye, so it's not what you're suggesting.
Right.
It's their 45-year anniversary, that was.
All right, lads. Well, I think that just about covers it for today's show. Maybe I should give a little shout out in honor of Michael being here all the way from Italy. And there's about 120 people watching live, which isn't bad for us. So if you're new or you've been watching and you just have a look down below where the video is playing and you see the word subscribe, it means you haven't already. So take heed of these few words.
Ciao ragazzi. I cannot believe how great a Celtic world is. Magnificent. It's very important to subscribe. Everybody do it immediately. Okay.
Is that how Italians speak, Mickey?
Perfetto. I think that guy comes to the pub.
Very good. All right. Well, look, thanks to everyone in the chat. Like I say, there's quite a lot of people watching us, and the chat has been going very well today and aligned with the conversation that we've been having. Monty is back in the bosom, as you noted, and contributing very well, I think it's fair to say. So good to see that it's just one big happy family, and we'll get through this together, and soon the window will be closed and we'll have new bodies in the door and everything will be going tickety-boo. Kaiser, are you doing a watch along? I don't know if you've talked about it with
Dano.
Dano. Jesus, what's wrong with me? I think I'm losing my mind. I can't think of
Early
players'
onset
names.
Alzheimer's.
Can't think of contributors' names. So that's what my wife says to me on a weekly basis. Early onset, she says, when I can't find my keys or something, or I forgot to close the gate. Anyway, all right, let's wrap it up there, shall we? Thank you very much, everyone. As always, thank you everyone in the chat. Like I say, there'll probably be a watch along. We'll discuss that in due course. It's not been mentioned, says Kaiser, but he's available. All right, there's probably a watch along then for the first game of the season. And we'll be back on Monday. Next week is Monday and Thursdays. So the season properly kicks off for us. I guess this is our first game of the season. So it's a sort of preview show. But we're back at it next week. So thank you very much, everyone, as always. And we'll see you in the next one. Until then, hail, hail.
Hail,
Well,
guys.
folks.